Can I wish everyone in Nottinghamshire a very happy 2021? Some of you might be making New Year's resolutions today. Can I encourage you to resolve to double down on all of those measures which are going to keep you, your family, and people that you don't know at all safe and well in 2021? It's by reducing our contacts with other people. It's by keeping going with the frequent rigorous hand washing. It's by maintaining the social distancing. It's by making sure that we get a test really promptly and isolating if we have symptoms, that we keep ourselves, our families, and those around us safe in Nottinghamshire. Thank you for your help with that.
This winter, more than ever, with COVID-19 still circulating, we need help to reduce all avoidable risks. You can help protect the NHS, social care and loved ones by getting the flu vaccine. You may be eligible for the free vaccine at your GP or local pharmacy if you are over 65, pregnant or have a long-term condition. Find out if you are eligible at nhs.uk/stay well. Children up to Year 7 can get the free nasal spray at school or through their GP if they are below school age. If you are not eligible for the free vaccine, you can pay for it at your local pharmacy. The flu vaccination does not give you flu. It reduces the risk of catching flu, as well as spreading it to others. If you had the vaccination in the past, that will not protect you as the flu strain changes every year, so you need to have a new one this year. It is also important to wash your hands often with warm water and soap. Use tissues when you cough or sneeze, and bin used tissues as quickly as possible. Thank you for helping to protect yourself and loved ones this winter.
The three words I'd use to describe my role is team, rewarding and challenging.
Positive, team, supportive.
Three words I'd use to describe this job: gratifying, inspirational, challenging. Before this, I was a hairdresser, but I wanted to do more than make people feel good. I wanted to help change their lives. I'm now part of a team that does exactly that every day.
I spend my days talking to the residents of Nottinghamshire, their families and the support services that help them on a day-to-day basis. We're the front door to adult social care in Nottinghamshire, and we're responsible for taking the time to build a picture through talking with our residents about how they lead their lives, the things that they find difficult, the things that they can do, and also looking at how they wish to fulfil their lives to the best of their possibilities. In the 5 years of working here, I've learnt so much, particularly about social care. I had no previous experience in it, but through a really good training and induction plan, I was given all of the skills and information that I needed to be able to do my job. I've also been able to grow personally and within my career since then through a personally tailored plan of support and training to keep me going.
We're a really close-knit team and we thrive off helping the community of Nottinghamshire to live a valued and independent lifestyle. Every day is different and there's always new things to learn, which makes the role interesting and really exciting. At the end of the day, knowing that I've helped a number of people to have a better quality of life makes every day worthwhile.
Can I wish everyone in Nottinghamshire a very happy 2021? Some of you might be making New Year's resolutions today. Can I encourage you to resolve to double down on all of those measures which are going to keep you, your family, and people that you don't know at all safe and well in 2021? It's by reducing our contacts with other people. It's by keeping going with the frequent rigorous hand washing. It's by maintaining the social distancing. It's by making sure that we get a test really promptly and isolating if we have symptoms, that we keep ourselves, our families, and those around us safe in Nottinghamshire. Thank you for your help with that.
I can really recommend being a foster carer for Notts County Council. There's always someone walking the journey alongside you, whether that's other foster carers or social workers. It really helps to provide stability and consistency for children who really need it, and that's really rewarding as a foster carer.
Roger and I have been fostering for 35 years. We do deal with challenges, but to say we've been doing it for 35 years to me proves that it's not impossible. We learn an awful lot from these young people, and even now we're still learning.
As a foster family, we care, we want to make a difference, and we get so much fulfilment from fostering. The satisfaction of making a difference is something that money can't buy. Just seeing the smiles on the children's faces and helping them reach their potential is wonderful.
We work as family workers within the fostering service for Nottinghamshire County Council.
I really enjoy my work. I really enjoy meeting lots of different foster carers.
You know, we get to know the families, we get to know the kids, and we care, basically. It's important as it is to them that the kids are getting the support that they need.
Okay, we're on live streaming now. So again, welcome to the meeting, and which has been held remotely, broadcast live and recorded for publication. I'm Councillor Reg Adair and I'm chairman of this subcommittee. For the benefit of viewers of the live stream, I will now ask the clerk to the committee, Keith Ford, to list other members present today.
Thank you, Chairman. The other members present are Councillors John Cotty, Jim Creamer, Kate Fall, Tony Harper, Richard Jackson, David Martin, Diana Meal and Philip Owen. And we also have Councillor Cutts, the leader of the council, who is an ex officio member of the committee. She is also in the meeting today. Thank you. Can I just also add as well, Chairman, sorry, as well as myself, we also have the following officers present today. We have Service Directors Marge Toward and Derek Higdon. We have Corporate Director Colin Pettigrew and the Interim Head of ICT, Mark Davies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for that. Can we move on to the agenda then, please? And minutes of the last meeting held on the 23rd of November. Can I take those as read? Okay, thank you. I will do that. And then we'll go on to apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies for absence?
No apologies for absence today. Thank you, Chairman.
No apologies for absence. So then we move on to declarations of interest by members and officers. Disclosable pecuniary interest, private interest, pecuniary and non-pecuniary. Do we have any from anyone? Doesn't seem like it. Can we take that as read then? Okay, thank you. So we move on to agenda item 4. And agenda item 4 is a report of the Corporate Director of Children and Families Departmental update on improvement and change. Colin, I understand you're going to give us that report and bring us up to date.
I am. Thank you, Councillor Adair, and thank you, Chair. The report is before you. Paragraph 4 importantly acknowledges that we have appointed a single group manager. Yeah, so we've reorganised ourselves to establish a single group manager with responsible for improvement and change, yeah, and standards within the department. Yeah, that person is likely to be Lucy Peel, yeah, and should be appointed during January, and that Lucy will become a familiar face to members of this subcommittee, yeah, as she attends with me and other colleagues, yeah, in future meetings. Paragraph 6 goes on to outline the progress that we've made since we last reported to you. I won't go through those bullet point by bullet points. They're there before you, Chair. Yeah, but they do include things as the training plan, group supervision, successful use of something called Schwartz rounds, which has been tried and tested and evaluated in the US. A very successful development day for about 680 staff. That was taking full advantage of digital platforms, Chair, and the full advantage of actually using Teams. Yeah, that was a much bigger event than we could possibly have done in physically and in person. Yeah, at a much reduced cost, actually, because it didn't include obviously venue costs or meals, etc. Paragraph 10 outlines the progress on our 3 commitments, like families prosper and achieve their potential, that children are safe from harm, and that children and young people go to good or better schools. Chair, you'll see that the report recognises that during the period of the last 9 to 10 months, yeah, there's been a suspension of inspection and regulatory practice by Ofsted in particular, yeah, which means that some of that progress has, I was going to use the word stalled, but that's probably not accurate. It just hasn't been able to be measured. Yeah. But our position with regards to good or better schools is that almost 86% of our schools are good or better, and that's in line with national standards. We would expect that to improve, and being in line with national standards isn't a level that we would find acceptable. We want to be better than that. Paragraphs 11 to 13 cover that reference to the regulated services and the pausing of Ofsted activity. Yeah. And in paragraph 17 onwards, talk about our position with regards to value for money. Yeah, and I'm pleased to see at the end of the last reporting period, period 8, we were reporting to be on budget, yeah, and a surplus of about £237,000 at that point, which represents about 0.16% of our £150 million budget. Chair, if agreed, I'll pause there. I'm happy to take any questions on any of that information or any other detail.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you for that. And the recommendation is that the Improvement and Change Subcommittee considers the approach to improvement and change within the Children's and Families Department and whether any actions are required in relation to the detail in this report. Do I have a seconder for that, please?
It's Councillor Cotty, Chairman, and I'd like to second the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cotty. So I will now open it up for comments and questions. Who I see now, Diane and Kate. Kate, you're on my left, so I'll go for you first. I'm not sure who was first.
Always happy to be on your left, Reg. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, get you on the right one of these days.
New Year's joke for you, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Okay. Thanks for the report. It's good and there's some really positive stuff in here. I mean, in particular, on page 6, right the way down the bottom of the bullet points, a celebration of success of our colleagues and the children we work with through COVID-19. Again, congratulations. I mean, some of the work that you've done has been hard, it's been innovative, and it's been really hard work. So just say thank you, really, because I think it's really important, particularly with what's going on at the moment, and how on earth head teachers and staff are coping with the current kind of lack of guidance and direction. I mean, I just think they're doing an amazing job. So anyway, so thank you. Just one or two particular comments. The only general question, the only general thing I would say, and I do understand that this kind of information does go in more detail to Children and People's Committee. I do understand that, but it is actually very difficult to actually understand the depth of this. It comes across as a little bit thin when you're just reading it as a very high-level summary report like this. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of make that comment again. Good news about Lucy Peel. I'm sure she'll be a great addition, assuming she joins us. Again, there's some lovely stuff. I mean, working together through the eyes of a child and the whole family approach to safeguarding, really, really great stuff. Just one or two things then, just of concern. Paragraph 9 refers to SEND and the Accountability Board. I've had some really concerns about SEND provision. It's been ramped up more recently because of COVID, but they are still there, and I've had one or two, several actually, quite kind of difficult and complex concerns raised by head teachers. Colin, I have raised these with Marion, and I understand that she's been in touch with head teachers, and so thank you for that too. But the SEND thing, I think, is really difficult. I don't think there's enough resources. I'm not sure that we've found the right path for a lot of SEND children yet, and that's something of concern. And I'm not blaming anybody at the county for that. I just know it's really difficult, and I'm not convinced we're there yet, but I'm very concerned about some of our very vulnerable SEND children and their families. The other thing I was going to say was, okay, this is now on page 9. Paragraph, okay, the first thing again that jumped out at me was right at the top of page 9, so it'll be at the end of paragraph 15. There's reference to the budget proposal to full council 2021, which will be different. I don't know whether you can give us any more information about that. Paragraph 16 again refers to commissioning a contracts board, and I know there's been an awful lot of concern and work done on how we buy, how we procure, how we commission, which is great, and I'm glad it's really happening. But I just wonder to what extent we're leaving open the tenders to smaller local providers, not-for-profit organisations, people who know their localities really well, rather than really big providers. Paragraph 18, the social impact bond, which has been rattling around for an awful many years. I mean, this popped up initially when I was a lead member, so we're going back a bit. And it mentions there that, right at the bottom of paragraph 18, it talks, early signs mean that the financial benefits forecast are likely to be increased. I'd like to know where that's come from and how you know that might be the case. What else? No, I think that's me done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Chair, sorry, thank you. And Councillor Fall, thank you very much for your thanks and recognition of the work of my colleagues and those within the council and out with the council.
Sorry, I'm muted. Sorry, that's all these mutes. Sorry, Diane, you're muted. Do you want to come in? You're muted, Diane. You're still muted. You're still muted.
Okay.
There you are now. Now you are.
Sorry about that. Do you want me to come in now?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'll take all the questions first, and then Colin can summarise all of them, because some of them might repeat themselves.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Thank you. Well, again, thank you to Colin for this report and for I know the work in difficult circumstances that staff are having to do with COVID. And I was very interested to see that you managed to do 160 a Teams, Microsoft Teams meeting with 680 staff. I mean, that must have been quite something to organise. And of course, for all of us, we've all become more au fait with virtual connections and virtual meetings. I just wondered, and this is with me not having the expertise, for example, that Kate has, but you mentioned the work of the Digital Development Board at paragraph 17, and that work is being evaluated at the moment. But I just wondered what changes you envisage has happened and you envisage will happen as a result of COVID and the necessity to change work practices. That might be just digital, but there might be other things in terms of other ways of social distancing or whatever. And what difficulties that has produced, because I can see that not having face-to-face in-person meetings might actually be quite challenging for both families and for social workers. So I just wondered if you've got a comment on that and whether that changes any of the outcomes that you're looking at in terms of the three departmental strategy outcomes. Thank you, Reg.
Diane, thank you. And David, unmute yourself.
Yeah,
there you are. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the report, Colin, and all the work that you've been doing over the last year, because it must have been mightily difficult given the situation that we're still in. I've just one question, well, a couple of questions really. One is, has anybody in the country nationally done any work on the correlation between the increase of SEND requirements, because they seem to be escalating year on year, and I wondered if there was any particular reason that anybody had recognised for that or identified. The other thing is as well with the Ofsted report, it is a bit vague, like Councillor Fowle says. So I wonder if you could just give us a bit of a summary on what we aren't doing right, if you could. I know that's a bit of a snapshot view of it, and also as well how much of the effectiveness and efficiency has been affected by COVID, because it must have really had a big impact this year. Thank you, Chair. Oh, one other, sorry, was the one that Kate touched on paragraph 18 about the funding for the STARS service. You could give us a bit more info on that.
Okay, thank you, David. Any other members got any questions before I go take it back to Colin to respond? Obviously not. Colin, can you respond now, please? Can you unmute yourself, Colin?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just saying.
Muting gets a bit much.
I was just saying, Chair, that I was checking that I was unmuted, and of course I wasn't, as is always the way. So if there are a number of questions there, I think, that touch on each other. So if I try and draw those together as effectively as I can do. Thank you very much, first of all, to Councillor Fowle, Neil and Martin, in your thanks to my colleagues in the department, both within the County Council and also out with County Council in terms of our strategic partners, including those working in health, the police, voluntary sector organisations, and in particular our support for schools and the support of schools. Councillor Fowle was asking about the SEND Accountability Board and the concerns for SEND. You'll see in the report that we were subject to an assurance visits by Ofsted, during the autumn term, and I don't think any member will be surprised to hear that Ofsted recognised two things. One was that there'd been a great deal of work undertaken by special schools and those working within the local authority to support parents and carers following the decision that schools should close on the 23rd of March. However, despite all of that work, it still left many parents and carers feeling unsupported during that period, particularly up to the point of June, where schools began to return. Parents reported to Ofsted and the CQC, because it was joint inspection, that they particularly felt unsupported from health provision. And that was particularly with regards to the decision that was made, I think in good faith, at national level, that all health colleagues should be pointed towards a COVID response, which meant that some of the support services for therapies, for instance, for children with disabilities, were then not available during that period. There was a commitment from the chief nurse that any second wave that wouldn't be the case, and that health colleagues, like health visitors, and midwives, etc., would be ring-fenced to continue to work with vulnerable children in particular during any second wave, and that's been seen a significant improvement. I think parents and carers recognise the efforts that we've made to co-produce and to work with them, and we've seen that reflected in the Parents and Carers Forum and the feedback that we've had from that. With regards to paragraph 18 and the impact bond, we do believe that we can support more young people to either remain at home or to return home safely, having become looked after than we were originally projecting, and that and the increased unit cost of looked after children, and gives us the reasons Councillor Ford as to why we think that social impact bond and the STARS scheme will be more successful in terms of higher return than we would than we had originally expected. Councillor Mayo made reference to the 680 conference that we had and development day that we had for staff. We have become much more competent and able about using Teams in particular, and using different ways of communicating. So, for instance, and I think Councillor Fowler alluded to it in her questions, I'll be meeting at 4 o'clock this afternoon with some in the region of 180 head teachers to understand, primary head teachers, to understand their experience of children returning to school following the Christmas break this morning. And that's meant that we have been able to develop new ways of working with schools. That means that we're far more familiar with each other and have a far better, more constructive working relationship at a strategic level in the past. We have seen improvements in some of the multi-agency meetings, Councillor Mayo, in terms of things like child protection conferences and looked after children's reviews, where we've got an increased attendance. They're happening in a more timely way. So our performance, as measured by, amongst others, Ofsted, has actually improved. Children are reporting, some children are reporting that those experiences are actually better for them. They would rather be in a virtual room than a real room, with a group of adults. But for parents and carers, it's not always as comfortable, as they would wish. Although those meetings aren't necessarily terribly comfortable anyway for parents and carers when you're talking about how they might better protect their children, or why their children need to remain in the care of the local authority. So there are pros and cons to the new ways of working. I don't think we will ever return to working in the way that we previously did. We are suggesting that we will be spending less money in terms of budget in social workers, for instance, sitting in cars and travelling great distances, because we can do some of those things remotely. We need to get a balance to make sure that that doesn't impact upon trust and the very important quality of the relationship. But as I say, many of our young people and our children are actually reporting that relationships they feel safer for them with some level of mix, including remote. Councillor Martin referred to the increased demand upon special educational needs and disability. And I think that's for a number of reasons, Councillor Martin. One is the age group for children receiving those services has effectively been expanded, from preschool, to into kind of post 16, 17, 18 education, and that children and young people are dependent upon those services for a longer period, often now into their early adulthood. I don't think we have quite bottomed that in terms of the growth that we'll see. Nottinghamshire, compared to many other local authorities, is actually quite a prudent local authority with regards to its spend, although we have seen a significant increase in the budget for special educational needs and the DSG, the dedicated school grant for that area, and not least of all because of the lobbying of the Children and Young People's Committee, and particularly the chair of that committee, Councillor Owen, to central government to say that that the funding formula that was based upon historic spend offered significant disadvantage to a local authority like Nottinghamshire, that spends less money on doing the assessments and more money on meeting need, and has an inclusive culture within many of our schools, far beyond many of other local authorities who are projecting multiple millions, for some of them in double figures, millions of pounds worth of overspend on that budget line. I've covered the STARS and the social impact bond in the earlier comment. I don't know whether Councillor Martin wants me to expand any further on that comment.
Colin, did you mention the commissioning, or did I miss your comments on commissioning?
Sorry, no. Thank you, Reg, for the nudge. Yeah, we will. What we are experiencing, particularly with regards to the commissioning service for looked after children, is that increase in unit cost. Yeah, and for that we are seeing. We experienced, particularly in the first wave, more foster care families, particularly in the independent sector, not feeling able to offer placements in homes, for children becoming looked after, and therefore those children were and it doesn't take very many, a very small number of children becoming looked after in a residential children's homes rather than foster homes, a handful, but at significant increased cost, and therefore we are increasing our commissioning both internally and externally of foster carers over the next 2 or 3 years, and we're having some significant success with that. But it is a competitive market, and it's a market where when demand outstrips provision, it's a tricky market to manage. I think would be the best way of summarising that, Councillor Adair.
Thank you. Councillor Owen, you got your hand up. I missed it earlier, sorry.
No, I've only just put it up, Chairman. I thought that it would be appropriate for me as the lead member to follow on from the corporate director, although he has said much of what I would have said, but I think some of it is worth re-emphasising. Councillor Fole talks about it being a high-level report, which it is, but it being particularly thin. I think that must be the in word at the moment, because that was the same description that was applied to the Brexit deal a few days ago, and I look forward.
You've demuted yourself, or you've muted yourself, Philip.
Somebody's muted me for me. I certainly didn't. I wasn't touching anything. As I was going on to say, it was you, was it? Right. I look forward to the time when the term thin can be applied to me as well. But I regret that's likely to be some time down the track. Send concerns. The corporate director, Mr. Pettigrew, has made reference to the extended time frame for which we have to look after children, young people, but also you have to bear in mind that there have been in recent years huge advances in medical treatment, and children that may well have died a few years ago are living, and that is something to be celebrated, the fact that they are living longer, but they are living with particular high level needs, and we have to fund those, and they can be very expensive indeed. We were successful in securing additional funding. I think it was over £10 million for this budget heading, which I think is something, again, that we should celebrate. Councillor Fold says that she's had particular cases that she's had to raise. I would say that none of them have been raised with me. There's no reason necessarily why they should, if they've been directed to Marion Clay, who is the appropriate service director. But I wanted to also, Chairman, touch on commissioning and contracts. What we are looking to do is to look outside of the immediate environs of the county council. We've got one successful operation up and running, which is the East Midlands Regional Adoption Agency. That's where we've been working in collaboration with Nottingham City, Derby City and Derbyshire County Council. That's given us strength in numbers. It's given us a lot more clout and a lot more effectiveness and efficiency. And I have asked officers if they can look at other areas where we might be able to work at a regional level. Things like commissioning external placements. If we could do that at a regional level, we may well be able to drive the unit costs down. Now, clearly, that is work that needs to be ongoing, and it won't yield immediate dividends. But I think it is important that we do that. Councillor Martin made reference to Ofsted reports. All Ofsted reports that place a school into a particular category will and are reported when they take place to the Children and Young People Services Committee. And you have to bear in mind that even with maintained schools, we have limited powers as to what we can do. They schools are, and particularly academies, of course, are autonomous. But I always, as chairman, write on behalf of the committee to those schools that have been placed in an Ofsted category to say that we are monitoring them, and we will monitor them. And some of them don't actually like that, but that is tough, because I think we still have a responsibility for our young people. But clearly that has been put on hold because of the suspension of Ofsted inspections, and that means that we're not able to drive up that figure of good or excellent school categories, which I'm anxious that we should do. The fact that we are limited in what we can do is unfortunate. We have to go through the Regional Schools Commissioner, and there's certainly one school that I can think of that I would have closed down by now. If we'd have, in the old days, shall I put it like that, that school would have been closed by the local authority. But I can't do that. And it's providing an education for children that is substandard and continues to do so. And that makes me very angry. In finishing, Chairman, I just want to pay further tribute to the work that the senior leadership of the department have done during this very difficult time, as well as the frontline services. But one part of the service that is often overlooked is the youth service. The youth service, whilst they've not been able to run the youth provision that they have been used to, have been helping out hugely across the piece, supporting some of our most vulnerable children. And I think they are to be given enormous credit for doing that and working outside of their comfort zone. I was listening on the news, or reading in the news a day or two ago, that virtually every local authority either has made cuts or is in the process of making cuts to its youth service, and that will have detrimental effects. We have taken decisions, Chairman, not to cut our youth service, but to try and expand it where possible, because we think that that is a good way of ensuring that many young children don't fall into criminal activity or antisocial behaviour, and that can only be good for the community and can only be good for the county council budget in the future. Although we're in very, very difficult times, as we all know at the moment, I think there's an awful lot to celebrate in this report, and I think from the fact that it's not been easy for the opposition to make much in the way of criticism demonstrates the way in which the department is operating and continues to operate and will operate during this very difficult time for the benefit of all our young people. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Philip. But Philip, the challenge still is improvement and change. That doesn't go away. So we'll still be challenging for more improvement and more change. So on that, then we'll go to the vote. We'll now move. The recommendations have been moved and seconded. So is it, Keith, are you going to do the vote for us, please?
I will do, Chairman. Yes, can I just underline to members that the individual votes today will not be recorded in the minutes of the meeting unless two or more members request it in line with the usual recorded vote practice. So starting with Councillor Reg Adair.
4.
Councillor John Cotty.
4.
Councillor Jim Creamer.
4.
Councillor Kate Fall.
4.
Councillor Tony Harper.
4.
Councillor Richard Jackson.
4.
Councillor David Martin.
4.
Councillor Diana Meal.
4.
And Councillor Philip Owen.
4.
Thank you, Chair. That is carried unanimously.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for that. And we'll move on to agenda item 5, an update on the wide area network deployment. And I think it's our interim head of ICT, Mark Davis, is going to introduce this report for us. Mark, where are you?
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair. This is just a short report, really, giving an update on where we are with the implementation and migration away on the wide area network from, let me share the screen.
I'm not sure we're going to see much of the screen, Mark, but never mind.
Where am I? Am I not there?
Who?
That's not me that
Councillor
shared
Fall, Councillor Fall, I think you might have shared your screen there.
Councillor Fall is sharing her screen.
Yeah, it's not me.
That's not you.
So
No.
can you still? I'm still sharing.
Yes.
Yes.
What do I do to unshare it?
If you just go to the
Oh, got it. Got it.
Yep, you got it.
That's the wrong knob. Sorry.
Yes, easy done. Too close to the mic.
That's better. That's better.
I didn't know I'd have hecklers.
Okay, Mark, you can carry on now.
Okay, this is about the update and the move away from Virgin Media Business to the new provider. A little bit of background is that the 4th of June 2019, a tender was put out, which was awarded and signed on January last year now, 2020, to MLL Technology. And they have been working with us over the last few months to set up the new wide area network. The initial stages were to build 8 exchanges around the county to support the network and install key infrastructure circuits for the network into our data centres at Node 4 in Derby and into County Hall. Unfortunately, when they started, there was COVID hit, and so access to some of the buildings was a little bit of a problem, but we've managed to recover from that, and progress is still on track to be completed by the end of March 2021, which is when the Virgin Media contract finishes. We have 210 NCC remote sites, and we had to review these and make sure that they were all fit for purpose and any remedial work that needed to be done could be done. We identified 130 sites that needed additional remedial action. That could be a case of digging up pavements and roads to put in circuits, or it could be something as simple as tidying up the cabinet where the devices were going to reside. That has all been done, and we've been testing the infrastructure, and we can confirm that that is working, and that was due to be done before the Christmas break and is working. We now have a period where we're going to roll out 12 sites. We're going to do that and test as we go, so we know what we're looking for, so that we can then say, yes, this is working, we've tested it thoroughly, We understand what we're looking at is giving the performance we expect. Once those 12 sites are done and our ICT network team are quite happy with that, MLL will then go at pace, and it is significant pace, to roll out the remaining sites before the end of March 2021. And just doing the maths, it's something between 15 and 20 sites a week. And that's where we are.
Okay, Mark, is this going to affect our team's communications, or is it going to improve our team's communication, or what is it going to do for us members out in the sticks?
As far as you're concerned, it shouldn't affect you at all, because when you're at home, you're using your home broadband, and the network within County Hall isn't changing. It's just the external connections between all our buildings. So if you were in the office or remote office and you were trying to access a service that was in Node 4 or County Hall, then would you notice any difference? No, not at all, because this is the reason we're doing this is because the existing infrastructure we've had for some time. Procurement rules are we have to go out to tender, which we've done to make sure we get the right value for money. But also the equipment was old and needed replacing. So there was either a cost to replace with Virgin Media, which procurement excluded, or a cost to upgrade, which is what we've done. The end user shouldn't notice any difference. We'll have improved performance. We'll have some network services that ultimately don't matter or will be noticed by the end user. Should be business as usual.
Value for money?
Absolutely, yeah. As part of the tender process, with the value for money scores quite highly, so yes.
Okay, thank you. So on that note then, that members agree to receive a further update report in the next 6 months, and this be included in the programme. That's a recommendation that I love. Do I have a seconder, please?
Yes, it's Councillor Cotty. I'm happy to second that recommendation, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Diane, you put your hand up, then Jim, and then David.
Remember to unmute this time. Thank you very much, Reg. A question about the costs. There's a note at the end that says, and I recall the meeting, that it was going to cost 2.5 million to put in all the changed infrastructure, as it were, that translated from the old Virgin Media solution to the new solution, the MLL solution. And as you say, they're having to work at pace. That is quite a work at pace, isn't it, between now and March? One is, are you confident that's going to happen? Two, are we still within the 2.5 million budget? And three, we're doing some works on transforming Nottinghamshire, changing the which buildings we use and creating new buildings. I just wondered, will there be costs in the future relating to this and to the WAN in the future, or is that all included in the 2.5 million that's already been set aside?
Thank you, Diane. Jim, did you got something? Unmute yourself, Jim.
Yes, just a couple of short ones. Just on the one itself. I mean, as the bandwidth actually increased, so ready for future use as we go on. And also, so I'm not sure about, so it is a genuine question. Do we actually share our WAN at all with the district councils? And if we don't, would it be possible to and actually save some money with sharing the costs, etc., within the WAN network? Thinking that some of the district councils are quite large themselves in their outside bodies. I mean, Broxtowe is large. Bassetlaw, I think, is the largest. It's Rushcliffe, etc. So, do we actually share our WAN, with other users so that our network can be more competitive, if you like? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, and David Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I expect the download speeds will probably increase, and hopefully the connectivity will be as good as it has been in the last 3 years, because it's been quite good being able to use the Lenovo ThinkPads anywhere. And I'm thinking about the all of the staff that use the Lenovo's on site outside properties, especially in the health sector, when they're updating their files and so forth, and that goes across all the council sectors. So I'm hoping that the connectivity will be as efficient as it has been, from my point of view anyway. Thank you.
Okay, David. Diane, is that an old hand you've got up there? Sorry, that's me. Somebody's trying to get in touch with me.
Yes, old hand.
Old hand. Any other hands? No. Mark, can you respond then, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you for those questions. Firstly, Councillor Meal, the budget, I can't give you the exact figures. I do a monthly board meeting on the WAN programme. I can get the figures if you would like them. It is definitely still within budget. We did have a little hiccup along the road a couple of months ago, because you may remember that the government decided to stop the provision of Huawei or Huawei equipment into networks, which started out with 5G, and then Huawei then said, actually, we're not going to supply any equipment really, other than a few key components, because you're not playing fair with us. And our new network was all based on Huawei equipment, so it's very good equipment. So we had to have a little bit of a rethink, and that did put the cost up by £70,000 by swapping it to different equipment. But that's still well within the budget. So I'm happy to find those figures if you would like them, but I can say that we're definitely within the budget. What was the question? Building use, you were also saying, will there be more costs with building use? Potentially, because we've had to lay out the tender and work out what connections will go to what buildings, as it was of, well, it was June 2019 when they looked at the tender. And when we signed it in January 2020, things probably still haven't changed too much. We knew there was a few buildings that we would need that would be new, and there's probably a few buildings that we would need to decommission. Obviously, that may change significantly over the next few months. But the connection cost is not a huge impact, to be honest. And the benefit of having one provider doing the whole thing is that we can do, what shall we say? We can operate in a way that we'll get credits for certain things, and we'll also have to pay extra little bits here and there. I don't see this as being a big problem. So yes, we'll have to pay some more. We'll probably have to pay to put new circuits in new places, decommission some old ones. But given the nature of the relationship we have with MLL, they're very reasonable in the way they operate. They're not looking to use the council as some form of cash cow. Certainly, that's not what I've seen so far. They're very good at what they do and very responsive. Not wish to denigrate Virgin Media business in any way at all. Although we have had challenges sometimes getting things escalated through them. MLS, and I think they want to look after us a little bit. Gives a bit more of that personal touch, shall we? So we are expecting good things on that. Was that your three? You asked three questions there. Was that three questions?
One, sharing with other councillors, there was a question.
Yeah, I've got Councillor Creamer. Yeah, so I've got. Well, I was just asking Councillor Mealy if I'd answered all your questions there. Yeah, okay, excellent, thank you. Councillor Creamer, bandwidth. The bandwidth of the new WAN will be better in so much as we will be allowed to do more things with it. The main issue for bandwidth is probably to do with the internet connection, which is still, as far as I'm aware, will still be a Virgin Media circuit to the internet, because it's a separate contract. But we have more than enough capacity on that band, on that, what's called the bearer, on that network connection, to support all the use that we have. And we have increased the amount that we can use on it. So basically, you buy the connection, it can support up to, let's say, 1 gig or 10 gig. We then say, actually, we'll only use 500 megabit for now. But the capacity is there. So we've definitely got capacity on the network there. That's not a problem. The new WAN will allow us to do certain things in terms of prioritization. So whilst it might not be an overall increased bandwidth, some sites will have better bandwidth. But the way we operate with the more modern equipment is that the packets can flow better and more effectively, and we can set prioritization in a different way. It's all getting a bit technical now. But so quality of servicing and things like that we can improve, which will be a good thing. In terms of sharing the WAN, I don't believe, and I stand to be corrected, that we share it with any borough or district councils, but we do share it with Via and Inspire, although I believe one of those is looking to provision their own additional WAN, so they won't be on there. It's certainly something we could look at. I'm all for collaboration and sharing with organisations. I think the challenge we've had sometimes is when you deal with other organisations is people want to move at different paces. And we had a contract end date, which was initially the end of the year, but we extended that with Virgin to April because of COVID and the time delays. But I'm all for doing that if it brings benefits to everybody. It just has to fit with everybody's timescales, doesn't it? So happy to investigate that. Councillor Martin, certainly it will be as good. Yeah, the performance is definitely not going to get less. In many cases will be increased because of the fact that some buildings will have a better network connection. As I said before, if you're at home, you won't really notice any difference because most of what you're doing is based on your home broadband.
Okay, is that it, Mark?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. So, on the back of that, then I think that's it. Is there some up? So we'll move to the vote.
Rich,
hand up there.
Can I just say, Mark very kindly said he'd give me details of the finances as they are now. I don't need those. I've got his reassurance that that we're within budget, and that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Diane. Okay, then let's move to the vote. And it's been moved, it's been seconded. And Keith, can you call the vote then, please?
I can. So starting with yourself, Councillor Roger Day.
4.
Councillor John Cotty.
4.
Councillor Jim Creamer.
4.
Councillor Kate Fall.
4.
Councillor Tony Harper.
4.
Councillor Richard Jackson.
4.
Councillor David Martin.
4.
Councillor Diane Emile.
4.
And Councillor Philip Owen.
4.
Again, Chair, that's carried unanimously.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for that. And then we'll move on to agenda item 6, which is the work programme, and to review the work programme for 2021. And at the moment, it's March. I think there's 1 or 2 other issues to come to the March programme. And I don't know, Marge, is there anything else that needs to be done with the work programme, or Derek?
Do you want to add something, Derek?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just one addition to the work programme from the transformation perspective, and that will provide a further update on our revised new transformation structure to the March committee.
Okay. Anything else, Marge?
Nothing from me, no.
Okay. Any questions from the committee about the work programme? I'm sure something else will come up and be added to it, but today's meeting, seeing it was a new year, was short to give everybody, ease you back into the new year and build up your stamina for the rest of it. So on that, then, if everybody's happy with the work programme, can we agree and nod on that? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for attending the meeting, and everything of the best for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Chairman.
This winter, more than ever, with COVID-19 still circulating, we need help to reduce all avoidable risks. You can help protect the NHS, social care and loved ones by getting the flu vaccine. You may be eligible for the free vaccine at your GP or local pharmacy if you are over 65, pregnant or have a long-term condition. Find out if you are eligible at nhs.uk/stay well. Children up to Year 7 can get the free nasal spray at school or through their GP if they are below school age. If you are not eligible for the free vaccine, you can pay for it at your local pharmacy. The flu vaccination does not give you flu. It reduces the risk of catching flu, as well as spreading it to others. If you had the vaccination in the past, that will not protect you as the flu strain changes every year, so you need to have a new one this year. It is also important to wash your hands often with warm water and soap. Use tissues when you cough or sneeze, and bin used tissues as quickly as possible. Thank you for helping to protect yourself and loved ones this winter.